He wasn't breathing. That's the first thing Maya noticed when she glanced in the rearview mirror at a red light on a Tuesday night she would never forget. If you're new here, tap that subscribe button because this story will leave you speechless. The man in her back seat wasn't moving. His head was tilted back against the window. His lips were already turning blue. Maya had been driving for Uber for 3 years. She'd seen drunk passengers. She'd seen people fall asleep. She'd even seen someone pass out from low blood sugar. But this was different. She pulled over so fast the tires screamed against the curb. Her hands were shaking as she threw the car into park and turned around. The man was in his late 50s, gray hair, expensive suit, wedding ring. He looked like someone's father. Maya didn't think. She yanked open the back door and checked for a pulse. Nothing. Her CPR certification had expired 2 years ago. She'd taken the class when her son was born, back when she still thought she'd have time to be the kind of mother who was prepared for everything. But muscle memory is a strange thing. She tilted his head back, checked his airway, started compressions. 1, 2, 3, 4. Her arms burned, her chest tightened. She counted out loud because that's what they'd told her to do in the class. 15, 16, 17. She gave him 2 breaths. His chest rose and fell, but he still wasn't breathing on his own. A car honked as it passed. No one stopped. Maya kept going. 30 compressions. 2 breaths. 30 compressions. 2 breaths. She was crying now, but she didn't stop. And then he gasped. It was the most beautiful sound she'd ever heard. The man's eyes fluttered open. He coughed violently, his whole body convulsing as air flooded back into his lungs. Maya sat back on the pavement, her hands still trembling. The man stared at her, confused and disoriented. "You're okay," she whispered. "You're okay." But she wasn't sure if she was telling him or herself. The ambulance arrived 6 minutes later. The paramedics took over, asking questions Maya could barely answer. What's his name? She didn't know. Does he have any medical conditions? She didn't know. How long was he unconscious? She wasn't sure. Maybe 2 minutes. Maybe 5. They loaded him onto a stretcher. One of the paramedics, a woman with kind eyes, squeezed Maya's shoulder. "You saved his life," she said. Maya nodded, but she couldn't feel it yet. Her body was still flooded with adrenaline. The ambulance pulled away, lights flashing in the dark, and Maya sat alone in her car, staring at the empty back seat. She didn't drive for the rest of the night. She went home, kissed her sleeping son on the forehead, and sat in the kitchen with a cup of tea she never drank. Her hands still wouldn't stop shaking. She kept replaying the moment in her head, the blue lips, the silent chest, the terrible weight of another person's life in her hands. Maya had always been good in emergencies. It was the quiet moments after that destroyed her. Her phone buzzed with ride requests she ignored. The notifications piled up. Surge pricing in her area. A bonus if she completed 3 more rides. But she couldn't get back in that car. Not yet. 3 days passed before she heard anything. She'd almost convinced herself it had been a dream. A strange, terrifying dream that her brain had invented to remind her how fragile everything was. But then she got the email. It was from Uber. A passenger had left a review. Maya opened it, expecting the usual thank you or complaint about traffic. Instead, it was a message from the man's daughter. Her name was Claire. The message was short, professional, careful. "My father wanted me to reach out. He'd like to thank you in person for what you did. If you're willing, please reply with a phone number where we can reach you." Maya stared at the screen for a long time. She almost didn't reply. There was something about the tone of the message that felt off. Not rude exactly, just distant, like Claire was fulfilling an obligation rather than expressing gratitude. But Maya replied anyway. 2 hours later, her phone rang. Claire's voice was clipped, efficient, the voice of someone who made decisions quickly and didn't waste time. My father would like to meet you tomorrow afternoon, she said. I can send a car. Maya almost laughed. I have a car. There was a pause on the other end of the line. Of course, Claire said. I'll text you the address. The address turned out to be in a neighborhood Maya had only ever driven through. The kind of neighborhood where the houses had gates and the driveways were longer than her street. She pulled up to a sprawling estate with ivy climbing the stone walls. A man in a suit, not the man she'd saved, opened the gate and waved her through. Maya's stomach twisted. She'd expected a coffee shop, maybe a restaurant. Not this. The driveway curved through manicured gardens. Fountain in the center, stone statues that probably had names and histories. Maya parked her 10-year-old Honda next to a Range Rover that looked like it had never seen rain. She felt small. Claire met her at the front door. She was younger than Maya expected, maybe early 30s with sharp features and her father's eyes. Thank you for coming, Claire said, and there was something in her voice that didn't match the words. Maya followed her inside. The house was beautiful in the way that felt cold. Everything was white or gray or glass. There were no family photos on the walls, no clutter on the tables. It looked like a museum. Claire led her through a hallway lined with abstract art Maya didn't understand. Their footsteps echoed on marble floors. How is he? Maya asked. Recovering, Claire said. Physically, at least. There was weight in those last two words. They reached a sitting room where the man was waiting. He looked better than he had in the back seat of her car. The color had returned to his face. He was wearing a cardigan and sitting in a leather chair that probably cost more than Maya's car. But his hands were shaking, just like hers had been. Ms. Rivera, he said, and his voice cracked. Maya sat down across from him. For a moment, no one spoke. And then the man started to cry. Not loud, dramatic sobs, just quiet tears that slipped down his cheeks as he stared at her. I don't know how to thank you, he said. Maya's throat tightened. You don't have to. But he shook his head. You don't understand. I wasn't supposed to be saved. The room went cold. Claire shifted in her seat, her expression unreadable. Dad, she said quietly. But the man kept talking. I was coming from the doctor, he said. They just told me I had 6 months, maybe less. Stage 4, inoperable. And I thought maybe it would be easier if I just didn't make it home. Maya's breath caught. I stopped taking my heart medication 2 weeks ago, he continued. I knew what would happen. I knew the risks. And when I got in your car that night, I was hoping it would happen somewhere quiet, somewhere anonymous. I didn't want my family to think it was their fault. Dad, stop. Claire's voice was sharp now, but the man didn't stop. And then you saved me, he said, looking at Maya with something that might have been wonder or might have been despair. You brought me back, and I don't know if I should thank you or hate you for it. The silence that followed was unbearable. Maya didn't know what to say. She didn't know what to feel. She'd saved a man who didn't want to be saved. Claire stood abruptly. I think that's enough for today. But Maya didn't move. She was staring at the man, seeing him for the first time. Not as a stranger she'd saved, not as a passenger in her back seat, but as a person who was drowning long before his heart stopped. What's your name? Maya asked quietly. The man blinked. Robert, Robert, she repeated. Do you have kids? He nodded, looked at Claire. Two, Claire and her brother, Michael. Do they know? Maya asked. About the medication? Robert's face crumpled. No. Claire made a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. We do now. And suddenly Maya understood why Claire's voice had sounded so distant on the phone. Why her gratitude felt forced. She wasn't grateful. She was angry. Angry at her father. Angry at the situation. Maybe even angry at Maya for saving him. Maya stood slowly. I'm sorry, she said, and she meant it in a way she couldn't explain. But Robert stood too, faster than she expected. Don't go, he said. Please. Maya stopped. I need to tell you something, Robert said. His voice was steadier now, stronger. He walked to a desk in the corner of the room and pulled out a folder. When he handed it to Maya, his hands weren't shaking anymore. Inside was a single piece of paper, a photograph. It was old, faded, creased down the middle like it had been folded and unfolded 100 times. And Maya recognized the face in the photograph immediately. It was her mother. The room spun. How do you... Maya's voice broke. Robert's eyes filled with tears again. Her name was Carmen. We met when we were 18, before I met my wife, before everything. Maya couldn't breathe. She never told me she was pregnant, Robert said. She left town the summer after we graduated. I looked for her. I tried to find her, but she was gone. Claire was staring at her father like she'd never seen him before. I didn't know, Robert continued. I didn't know until 3 years ago, when I hired a private investigator to find her. I found out she'd passed, cancer, and I found out about you. Maya's hands were trembling so badly she nearly dropped the photograph. You've been watching me, she whispered. No, Robert said quickly. I wanted to reach out. I tried a dozen times, but I didn't know how. I didn't know if you'd want to know, if it would hurt you more than help you. I had your address, your phone number. I drove past your apartment twice but couldn't get out of the car. Maya looked at Claire, who looked just as stunned as she felt. So when you got in my car that night, Maya started. I didn't know it was you, Robert interrupted. I swear I didn't. It wasn't until I woke up in the hospital and they told me your name, Maya Rivera. I knew, and I didn't know whether to laugh or cry because of all the people in the world. It was you. Maya sat back down because her legs wouldn't hold her anymore. You're my father, she said, and the words felt foreign in her mouth. Robert nodded. I'm your father, and you saved my life. The silence that followed wasn't cold anymore. It was full. Full of 34 years of missed birthdays and unanswered questions, and 1,000 what-ifs that would never have answers. Claire was crying now, too. Quiet tears that matched her father's. I have a sister, she said, and it sounded like a question and a statement at the same time. Maya looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time she saw the resemblance, the shape of the eyes, the stubborn set of the jaw, the way Claire held her shoulders when she was trying not to fall apart. Yeah, Maya said softly, I guess you do. Robert reached across the space between them and took Maya's hand. His grip was weak, fragile, the grip of a man who'd given up, but it was also warm. I don't expect anything from you, Robert said. I don't expect forgiveness or a relationship or even another conversation after today. But I need you to know that meeting you, even like this, is the greatest gift I've ever received. Maya squeezed his hand. She didn't have words yet. Maybe she never would, but she didn't let go. They sat like that for a long time, Three strangers who weren't strangers at all. Claire pulled her chair closer. She reached out tentatively and placed her hand on top of theirs. A family formed in silence. And somewhere in that moment, Maya realized something. She hadn't just saved Robert's life that night in her car. She'd saved her own. Because for the first time in 34 years, she wasn't alone. She had a father, a sister, a family she never knew existed. And Robert, who'd spent weeks planning his own ending, had a reason to keep living. Not because of the cancer or the prognosis or the time he had left, but because his daughter had found him. Or maybe he'd found her. Either way, they'd found each other when they both needed it most. Maya stayed for 3 hours that day. They talked. They cried. They laughed at the impossibility of it all. Claire showed her photos of their brother Michael. Robert told stories about Carmen that Maya had never heard. And when Maya finally left, she didn't feel small anymore. She felt like she belonged to something bigger than herself. A week later, Robert started his treatments again, not because he thought they would work, but because he wanted to try. Sometimes the people we save end up saving us back. If this story moved you, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible true stories that will restore your faith in destiny. Share this with someone who needs to hear it today. Drop a comment below telling us about a moment that changed your life forever.